I remember during Thanksgiving, I had like a whole day of meal prep and I turned on all the Friends Thanksgiving episodes. Like, I'm like, this is the best cooking day ever.
Do something fun. What's the quote that like, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy? Like, all work and no play makes you a really dull follow.
So it's not like, oh, now that Kayla does watercolor, she's going to put that in every post or every day of her stories.
Right now, I totally will.
How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are two agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market, all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go. Good morning, magnetic marketers.
Good morning, everyone. It's another episode of Modern Agent Marketing Girls. I almost said members only. The other day, I started our members only podcast by saying, welcome to Marketing Girls, and then I had to restart it.
Sometimes I do that and I don't even notice until I'm watching the replay. I'm like, oops.
Oh, yeah. It is a little confusing. For those that are listening that don't know what we're talking about, we have a members-only podcast, too, for our membership that releases every Monday. So when I record the two back-to-back, I get them a little confused.
We talk a lot.
We do talk a lot. And again, no one in my childhood would ever have been surprised that I talk for a living. So it's
Exactly.
fantastic.
Okay, I want to start today with a little experiment I've been running. I believe I'm on day 27.
Tell us about this.
So
we haven't even talked about it much yet. So I
haven't.
Everything.
So this will be new for you too. But I did tell you what I was doing eventually. I decided I was going to commit to talking to my camera on my Instagram stories, like face to cam stories every single day for 30 days. So I'm almost done. I'm sharing this a little early. And for a few reasons. Number one, I saw this, and I've heard this before, but I saw a post. It's called like the 100-hour rule. And it's basically if you spend 18 minutes a day doing something, after a full year, you'll have spent 100 hours and you will outperform 95% of people in that area. So like if you want to get better at writing or speaking or face to cam or reels or whatever it is. And I'm not quite spending 18 minutes talking on my stories, but I'm like, well, it's still getting me closer to just practicing at speaking what I want to say on stories. The other reason though isn't just that, it's connecting. Because when you see someone's face, you feel like, oh, like it's a real human on that account talking to me and sharing things. And it almost creates this like, it's increasing visibility. So here I am listing off all my reasons, but increasing visibility, connection, branding. Like there's so many reasons I wanted to try this out and just see where it took me and just get it, like make it a habit. The other part to this is I talk a lot about just getting ready every day. So I've gotten ready every day for the last 27 days because not that I have to be perfectly camera ready on stories, but I will tell you one morning, I showered, I had like tanning drops on my face that I love from Luxe Unfiltered. And she's like, oh, you don't have to wear makeup if you have these every 2 to 3 days. I'm like, no, I still want makeup if I'm on camera. So anyways, I recorded these stories and I was like, I just don't feel good. So I went and did my makeup and then I re-recorded them.
Yeah.
So it's all personal preference. You don't have to do that. But anyways, just like lots of things. So it's just made me feel as a whole. So kind of like my feedback, I feel more connected to my followers. I've been having a lot more conversations. I feel like I'm going deeper instead of wider because as I like open up my stories and I'm sharing sometimes like a thought of the day or something maybe that I put in an email that sparked me wanting to talk more about it or a realization I had, like it's making me dig deeper to think of like talking points and things that I want to bring up and almost to the point of like, you don't want to miss a story because you may miss a little golden nugget if you miss my stories. Does that make sense? The other thing you can do with this though, and this is kind of the point of what we're talking about today, is you can repurpose those face to cam stories into a piece of content. So you can turn one into a reel and like you just have to kind of be mindful of like don't add a bunch of like stickers and things to it or save it as like a plain slide before you add any text and stuff. But it's just been so fun. I've gotten ready every day, so I've felt like really ready. Like when I say ready, not just camera ready, but when you're ready, you physically feel ready to open your camera, to create content, to have a conversation with someone, maybe even to like talk to someone at a coffee shop. I mean, like it just gets you in more of a, like, have you ever not like, we were coming home from Florida. This is the opposite of being ready. It had been like a long travel day. It was late and we get home and it's like -15 outside. So we land at the airport and we had to take like a shuttle to where our car was parked. And so we had to walk outside, like wait for the shuttle, get on the shuttle, all these things. So Mark's like, here, wear my hat, because I didn't bring any winter things to Florida. He had brought like a hat preparing for this apparently. And I put his hat on, but I had a ponytail in. So I like had his hat over my ponytail so it looked like I didn't have any hair. And then my makeup was like washed off by then, just from like the day of like travel and whatever. I was so tired. I just looked awful, I think. And then we run into some guy Mark knows from rugby. And I'm like,
Every time.
oh my God. I was like, and I had on Mark's vest over the top of my jacket. I looked insane. And I was like, the only time I will ever see someone at the airport is if I don't look good. That is the only time.
100 times.
The only time. So anyways,
Yes.
there was just so many benefits from it. I am going to keep doing it because it just creates a lot of connection. Like you get to hear people's thoughts that are watching. Not everyone's watching every story. I may be talking like 4 slides max. So that would be, what is that, like a minute and a half maybe total? But at the same time, I'll put text on screen to give it some context, to like tell people, here's what I'm talking about if you're interested. So it's just like this just other little avenue to get more visibility, to go deeper with your current followers, to nurture them. We are currently running Camp Modern Agent right now at the time of this recording. So I talked a lot about that, but like made it like fun and approachable. It's like Alex Hormozy says, if it looks like marketing, it's bad marketing. Bad marketing looks like marketing. So I'm essentially using my stories every day. And we know a few times throughout the week, I was talking about camp and it didn't feel like I'm selling something. Camp is free or was free, but it just felt so organic. So lots of benefits, lots of good things. So moral of the story is I would recommend doing it because you're going to create so much connection and it's going to humanize everything you're doing. Like people are going to see you and be like, oh my gosh, like she is so busy. She has a lot going on. She is here. I want to hear what she has to say every day. It's like this comfort feeling, like your favorite TV show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge that it's not like you're new to social media, right? Like you've been doing this for years and years, but everyone kind of goes through a spell where they just haven't been on camera as much. Or like, I know like you and I, we've been working so much behind the scenes that social media has almost felt like an afterthought for a couple weeks there, because it was like, wait, we just have so much to do and we didn't think about posting this because we just got to get this done. So all of that happens. But I think what happens whenever we go through that, even someone who is mostly comfortable on camera and doesn't mind talking to the camera, you can feel a little bit like, I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Like, or like that was terrible, or you don't want to force yourself to show up. So how did you get over that hump? Like when you first started, first of all, did you feel that? And if you did, how did you like just make yourself get out of it?
Well, to be honest, one of the other reasons I did this is because I felt like I really neglected our modern agent stories. And sometimes we have like a couple days in between stories, or I just think of like, oh, what could I throw on there? And I'm like, wait a second, Chelsea, this is not how you do stories. This is not how you operate. This isn't what you teach. You need to practice what you're teaching. So that was almost the very first reason that I did it. That 100-hour thing is like another part of it. But like, I just wanted to follow my own advice and see what happened. Like, let's follow it here. I would go on my stories on my personal account a lot. But to be honest, our brand is Modern Agent Social Club. That has become the brand. My personal account, I still have a lot of followers and like people I'm connected with, but I just use it more for personal. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because as an agent, it's not the same as having a membership. So like you don't need 2 accounts. Like we won't talk about that today.
Don't do 2 accounts. Yes.
No, it's so much harder. And that also is another thing I realized. Like it is almost impossible unless you have a team of people doing your social media to show up on 2 accounts. Because when I started doing this, I was like, this is like yes, it only took me a few minutes a day. So if I was on my story for a minute and a half, by the time I added like text and whatever, responded to people who were responding to me, it was probably like 30 minutes of my day. If you include having conversations, which that is a good thing. You want to be having conversations. But I think it's like holding yourself accountable. It's built in accountability, right? So yes, while I've been doing social media forever, I hadn't been doing this at all on our Instagram stories. Maybe once every couple weeks I would put my face on camera, or when we did our marketing therapy Thursday, I'd put my face on camera, but it was not consistent. And I'm like, I just want to see if we can strengthen our brand by bringing us forward. Because people listen to this podcast, they hear us in the members group, they hear the member podcast, but like seeing your face every single day, that's going to make a difference. So you have to just be okay with getting uncomfortable. The only way you're going to get better at it is by doing it. So if you're like, I'm going to wait until I feel comfortable, it will never happen. So
No.
like if you just want to give yourself a challenge that maybe you could talk for 15 seconds. I mean, like it could be really simple, right? Honestly, what I would do if I was a member, I would just use our content to give me talking points. Like maybe I'd see,
Yeah.
here's what I tell every buyer, and I'd make it a quick little face to cam story. Or like, here's what it really looks like to do a listing appointment with me, make it a face to cam story. It's so simple. And honestly, with AI and where things are going and everything with social media, people need to connect with people or you're going to become irrelevant so fast. I just saw this AI thing with like it's an AI program that will make AI videos of you talking like a podcast. And I'm like, okay, it looks fake to me though. But
Yeah.
AI is supposed to be getting 10 times better every year. But if social media becomes this place where everything's AI generated, no one's going to watch anything on social media. So I actually found this post from Brock Johnson, and I was like, I have to share this on the podcast. He said the average Instagram creator spends 8 hours per week planning and editing content, and that is killing your authenticity. Stop spending hours planning, scripting, researching, writing, chat GPTing, editing, and overthinking. Just press post. We all crave authenticity from others, but choose to filter ourselves. Isn't that so true? Like we say we want that, but then we're like, oh, just put this graphic there. Or like, oh, I'll just like post myself later, or like I'll show my face someday. Stop trying to be perfect, start trying to be real. Like it's so true. We're saying we want one thing and then we filter ourselves. And he actually started this post with a study that revealed why people unfollow people. The number one people unfollow people is they seem fake or inauthentic. The second reason is political views I disagree with, which that's probably number one in a lot of cases. But anyways,
Right.
he said by far the number one reason is because a creator seemed fake or authentic. And authenticity is like, it's a buzzword everyone throws around, right? But they also said that according to the same report, 86% of users said that they feel some creators are less authentic now than in the past. And like
It's a problem.
the problem is there's too long of a gap between idea and execution. So we're like, oh, I have this idea. I should do this on Instagram. And then we like overly curate it, overly perfect it, overly graphic it up. And then it doesn't feel authentic anymore, right? He's like, that's why he's saying we spend so much time planning content. If we could decrease the time between idea and execution, that's where the authenticity lies. So I saw this just like 2 days ago. But as I'm doing this experiment, I'm like, and then I read this, I was like, you're right. Like if I like every day when I got on and talked, and I'm gonna go back and watch them all and just like look for like threads and like commonalities and things that I liked or didn't like. But if I waited till I had this perfect script written out to like read from the camera, it would feel like a AI bot is talking to you on your stories, not like an actual human. Where I just made it like I even shared Henry started soccer and I like put that on my stories and talked about how I like made it a metaphor. Like, and yes, that's because I've been doing this for a very long time and I've gotten good at it. But do you know what? I want to get better. I want to get better. There will never be a time if you own a business and you want your business to succeed and keep succeeding and not compete with AI or whatever. Like there will never be a day where I'm like, okay, I'm all done. Everything's good enough. Because what will happen? Like you'll lose the steam, you'll lose the momentum, you'll lose the magnetism or whatever. Like you have to keep showing up. And I'm not saying you have to put your face on camera every day forever, but when you think like, okay, I think I'm good, it's crazy how fast you will backtrack. Like, so I just want to get better. I want to get better at speaking. I want to get better at stories. I want to get better at social media. Every day, like if I look back 3 years ago, I'm not like, wow, I was so much better 3 years ago. No, I like you keep getting better and better
Right.
and better. And not that you have to like focus all your attention, put all your eggs in the basket of like having perfect social media. The point isn't to be perfect. The point is to show up and be relevant and keep ahead of the curve of what's going on, right? Like, okay, as AI keeps getting stronger and stronger, like we're going to have to figure out what that means as someone who's using social media, right? So
Yeah.
by continually being on it, you're going to like bypass all the garbage, all the questions that come up and like stall you or make you feel like, oh, but what about this? What about that? What, like, we all have these things that hold us back because we're like, but what about blank? But if you just force yourself to show up, those all go away. They really do. They'll all disappear.
Yeah. Can you guys tell Chelsea has been very excited to do this episode for a while? She's like the story queen. You're so passionate about it, and for good reason, right? Because they really do like move the needle. The stories nurture your audience, the people that are already in front of you, better than any piece of content you could put out there ever could. And I think sometimes, as agents, we want to grow. Of course we want to grow. You want more followers, you want more clients, you want more likes, more, like, nothing's wrong with those things, but what's the point of getting more of those if the people in front of you don't care? So we have to look at showing up not as a chore, not as something we just check off our list, but we have to honestly look at it like an opportunity. Someone recently said in Camp Modern Agent, she said something about how like I feel kind of silly showing up because I only have 700 followers. And I was like, or you could tell yourself, wow, 700 people have decided that they are interested enough in what I have to say that they clicked follow. So like I'm going to serve them well by showing up and giving them the content that's what they asked for, right? We're not inconveniencing anyone by showing up. We also get into this thing when you're talking about like content creation and how we try to perfect things and whatnot. I have noticed, and it's not just agents, but obviously we talk to agents most of the time, but I have noticed that agents love good systems. They kind of like to just tinker. They like to find little ways to make their life easier, whether it's through finding like a scheduling platform or a new CRM or finding a new hashtag list, like all of these little things that aren't bad per se, but I have talked to agents where those things, because they haven't figured out those things yet, they have not posted. And it's like, well, that's not the work that's going to get you clients. Over here, talking to people and showing up every day, that's the work that's going to get you clients. Those other things can help you with that and assist you with that as you start to grow. But you don't need to have all that stuff figured out before you start to show up. So what I love about Instagram stories is like, you can't curate them. Like you just record them and you post it. Like there's no time to overthink anything. So it really gets us out of our heads.
Also, if you want to get better at talking to clients, like if you want to feel more confident and have like a good thing to say or know how to talk or whatever, just like, I'm kind of using my Instagram stories too, so that when I do camp or I have a training, I am a better speaker. I know what people are thinking. I know how they respond. I know what lights them up or what gets them fired up or interested or whatever. So like if you can think of it that way, like almost like it's like a pre-listing appointment or a pre-buyer consultation. Like I'm using my stories to show up now to give someone that feeling, but at the same time, you're getting better at talking about objections and real estate. And I mean, even if you make a list of objections people have, like, oh, I'm not paying this % for commission, or
Right.
I don't need a realtor, or I think our house should sell for this much, or like think of all the things that you face from an objection standpoint. Those are all talking points for stories. It's a lot of what I talked about in our stories, actually, our own objections, and tried to flip the script, and not in a negative angle, but more of like hey, have you thought about it like this? Or I was at Henry's soccer game and here's what that means for your marketing. Like you're like in constant practice. Like if you want to get better at something, you're constantly practicing, getting in your reps, and then it becomes easier. And I will say, so like during this experiment is when we were launching our second cohort of camp. We have at this time, I just checked, 592 people signed up for camp. I didn't do a ton of promotion of camp. Like a lot of it was through stories. There were a couple end slides on our posts, but I dripped it in over the last 2 weeks. And one of those weeks I was on vacation for 8 days.
Yeah.
So like that's the beauty of like, if this isn't clicking, I don't know what will, that when you nurture the people already there and you show up in your stories and they feel like you're a human and you're not just marketing to them, but you're showing up for them, like you're going to see results. Like conversation comes before conversion. So the more conversations you're generating out of that, the more conversions you're going to have. And here's like a couple little tips, like ask a question in your stories, add a poll on top. Like even if you're not talking face to cam, like ask people questions. Like we were talking about how a lot of people will say like, well, I'm just really boring, right? So like, what could you do if you feel like you're boring? Like, what do you have to share on your stories? Like you can turn anything into content. Like I think of the show Friends all the time. So I have a confession. I love Big Bang Theory almost as much as Friends. So for like a really long time, I've been watching Big Bang Theory more, and I wasn't really ever in the mood to watch Friends. So the other day I was just like, I'm watching Friends again. I need to get back into my Friends like game or whatever. So I turned it back on, and now I'm like obsessed. I'm like, it's the best show ever. But if like think about this, they go to the same coffee shop every episode.
Yep.
Doesn't that seem like it would be boring? Like, there's nothing, like, groundbreaking. They're not, like, like, there's not, like, a bomb or, like, something crazy happening every episode or a kidnapping or a wedding. I mean, like, it's just consistency, and then it feels like, "Oh, I want to, like, see more of that." And so we don't need to think about, like, "Oh, we need these grand, big stories to share," or some crazy client story or a crazy thing that happened at a showing. Like, it's just kinda like the mundane, like, "Hey, I showed this house to these buyers, and they pointed out that they loved where the sun hit their house, and that made me think, like, if you're planning on building or if you're moving, like, is that a concern to you, yes or no? And you put a poll in, like, it's just generating conversation,
Yeah.
and look what you're talking about. You're talking about real estate, and even if that thing didn't happen to you today, I bet if you opened a Google Doc and made a list of 10 things that came up like that, and if you can't think of 10, think of 30, again, our BTL copy little trick, that is gonna give you so much to talk about, and it feels so story driven, and it feels so like I'm sitting here FaceTiming a friend. I recently just saw, like, you should show up in your stories or no, show up your reels should feel like a FaceTime call, not like presentation or like you're reading from a script or like a performance. And just think about that. Like when you see reels that are like that and start to pay attention, just like even today, spend 10 minutes scrolling. And when you find one like that, I want you to just think about how you interpret it differently. It feels so much more fun to consume because you're like, it's almost like the fact that they didn't put a bunch of effort into doing this makes it feel like, "Wait, what are you gonna say?" Like, I just wanna
Right.
listen in on
It
this,
feels
like
like you're like in on something. Like, ooh,
yes.
tell me what you were up to right now, you know?
Yes.
The whole idea of feeling like you're not interesting. First of all, like what you said, the magic is in the mundane. Our stories are not this groundbreaking, earth-shattering content. It's nurturing. It's just relationship. I mean, let's be honest. If you have a friend who calls you every day and something crazy is happening in her life, it takes a lot of energy to pick up that phone. Right? Like you kind of feel like, oh, she's calling again. But if you have someone who's just like checking in or sending a text or I thought of you or like they said this and it was so funny, like, isn't that so much more delightful to like consume and to interact with? It doesn't take a lot of energy. It actually like fills your cup more than like drains you. That's what your story should be doing. But I will say, for those of you who really do feel like you really are boring or like nothing interesting happens in your day, I would argue that that's probably not true. But let's just pretend for a second that you're right. Do something fun. Do something fun. What's the quote that like all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy? Like all work and no play makes you a really dull follow. And like we don't want you to be a dull follow. We feel like you have something so incredible to offer. But like add a little something fun. And I'm talking it can be so simple. It can be like picking up a coffee at a local coffee shop instead of just making it at home. Or it could be like, here's my mug of the day as you're making coffee at home, like something fun that you look forward to. I would always share, like, if I would like paint my nails a fun color, I love to like add little fun patterns or whatever. I am not a nail artist, okay? But it's just kind of something fun that brings me a little bit of joy. I like to share that on my stories. I recently picked up watercolor, mostly because it's been on my like want to try list for years. And in my mind, I'm like this great watercolor artist, just like ready to bust out of my mold. I'm not any of those things. But I thought, you know what? Like I want to just start like doing some things. So I went to Hobby Lobby. I spent like $20 getting a few watercolor things. And like my girls and I have just been sitting down painting for maybe 30 minutes in a day. But it's been so fun. And I've just started like taking little pictures of like what I've been working on or whatever. These are not impressive paintings, but like it's just fun. And guess what? My DMs have been blowing up because people are like, I've always wanted to try that. Or do you follow this account because she's really good for this? Or do you just having those conversations? And if we are people who believe that conversions happen after conversations, what are you going to do throughout your day? Like, how are you going to make fun a priority so that you can increase those conversations? You want to sell more real estate? You better find a little hobby. And it doesn't have to cost you very much money. It doesn't have to cost you very much time, but it should light you up a little bit. It should bring you a little bit of joy.
I have a quote from an Every Girl article that says, dedicating time to a hobby can boost your self-esteem, improve your mental and physical health, and even expand your social life by connecting you with friends who share your interests, which is how you have the conversations and how you convert them into referrals and clients. Like, how easy, right? Like, even picking something, there's an article that I can link in the show notes, but some of the hobbies you can start at home are learn calligraphy, work out online, practice meditation, learn how to cook, pick up needlework,
Yeah.
even learn how to cook. I was like, this year, I'm so sick of the like online recipes where you have to comment and all the things. So I said every week I want to pick one cookbook recipe to make where I have all these beautiful cookbooks that I just sit there beautifully and don't get opened. There's so many good recipes in there, and then I can have it open to a page. I'm not like finding the window again that it's in on my phone. Like, it's so like learn how to cook, and it's fun. Like, you're gonna have fun doing it. Like, romanticize it. Make yourself a yummy drink. Like, turn on some good music or a cute show. Like, I remember during Thanksgiving, I had like a whole day of meal prep, and I turned on all the Friends Thanksgiving episodes. Like, I'm like, this is the best cooking day ever.
Right?
Mostly because I didn't have to worry about doing 18 other things. That was my focus. But pick up needlework, learn an instrument, paint, make your own soap or candles, grow your plant collection, practice applying your makeup, so many things. So, what does Instagram have to do with these things? And what does anything have to do with these things? Like, document it. That's what we want you to do to get them on Instagram. It's not like you have to create a reel or a post and put it on Instagram to say, like, starting my new hobby. No, maybe you eventually decide to turn that into like a series or something fun, but like that's probably like down the line for you. Right now, like, just put it in your stories like Kayla is. Like, didn't this all start because you had a farmer's market theme party? And then you're like, what could I
Yeah.
bring that's not a food?
Yeah, my sister threw a farmer's market themed party, and we were all supposed to like bring something like homemade. I'm not like, I would not say I'm crafty, but I like to like cook or like make little like baked goods or whatever. But I just had a feeling everyone was gonna bring some type of food. And so I thought, what can I bring that's not food? And I have always wanted to try watercolor. And so I thought, in my geniusness, what better opportunity to start watercolor than to tell people that I'm going to bring them a painting that I created. And it was not one of my best ideas, but I had 2 days. I literally bought my supplies, and 2 days later was the party. So I had to force myself to just do the work, to put it out there, and then to like give it away. And of course I felt like insecure. In fact, I was cracking up. I told my sister, I said, people are going to think my kids painted these. But I was like, but I'm kind of proud of them because I've always wanted to do this. And we get to the party, and one of the girls was like, oh, that's so cute. Did your kids paint these? And I just busted up laughing because I was like, I knew people would think that. But you know what? Like, it was just something that forced me to do it. And you know what's so funny? This morning, I woke up and I like pictured in my head like watercolors. And I started thinking about like what I wanted to do next. Like, when you start to do something fun, it gets your mind off of things and doesn't make you wake up thinking about your to-do list or whatever else. So that was a fun little experiment that I did. And I'm so glad that I did it, because now I feel like, you know what? I am a watercolor artist who has a lot to learn, but you don't learn by sitting there reading about watercolor. You learn by doing it. And the same is true with stories. You can't listen to this episode and think, okay, now I'm going to be good at stories. You just have to start doing the work. You have to put yourself out there enough. And you know what? Let's say it's just your mom watching your stories. Like, what a better audience. You know what I mean? Like, somebody's going to be so kind and gentle with you, right? But over time, you are going to have more and more people watch your stories, interact with your stories, not because you're saying anything groundbreaking or like, addressing something very important, but because you're just sharing your life, and people are getting on the app to share life with people and to engage with people and build those connections. So stories are a great way to do that.
We do say modern agents have more fun.
So much more fun.
That's just one way you can start doing that. But even, starting I was always like, I don't need a new hobby because I have a lot of hobbies. And I don't want to spend my time painting when I'd rather read this book, right?
Yeah.
But trying a new hobby, there's like so many like benefits to it, especially as a business owner. I mean, number one, it will give you talking points with your clients. Like I guarantee you'll have something to say about it when you go meet with them. It just keeps you interesting. It helps like bring more creativity to your brain because you're doing something different, which is literally changing your brain to try something new or do something you're not good at yet. It's creating like I mean, I'm not a brain neuroscientist, but like new pathways in your brain as you try new things. And it just gets you out of your same day to day normal element. Like even the fact of like Henry starting soccer, that's not a hobby for me, but it gave me like a content idea, a metaphor that I could use for marketing because I did something totally different. Whereas if I just sit in my house every day and, do my I don't know, I guess I do a lot of creative things. But it's harder, right? Like if I were to record this podcast and I never did anything, I wouldn't have like stories and examples and things to tell you guys if I just like did my job and that was it. Like so
Right.
there's so many benefits to trying something or even starting a club or starting like, you could start a cookbook club or you could start a book club or a sport related club or maybe even just like call a friend and say, "Hey, do you want to try this workout class with me?" Like something new. I kind of want to challenge myself to do like one new thing a week and just like push myself out of my comfort zone. It's hard. It's hard in the winter.
Yes.
I don't want to leave my house. Like it's freezing. But that's the point. Like when you challenge yourself, it just pushes your brain to think differently and then you reap the benefits. Same with going back to my little experiment, it forced me to show up because I made this accountability with myself. And then I told people, I'm doing an experiment, I'm going to share the results. That it made me show up to then kind of lean in and like, even if there was a day where I'm like, oh, we were on vacation. I did everyday vacation. And I was like, oh gosh, like I don't really know what to talk about right now. But then I was like, no, I have something. And like,
Yeah.
because I had to think of something, again, if you can't think of one thing, think of 10. If you can't think of 10, think of 30. Like all of a sudden you'll have this waterfall list of things, whether it's hobbies to try, things to put on your stories, both. Like it really does, like it gets that brain going. It gets the juices flowing if you just do one little action. So whether
Yeah.
you start a new hobby or your new hobby is I'm going to do 30 days in a row of face to cam Instagram stories, whatever that looks like for
Right.
you.
I feel like we just opened up like a whole new ordeal. I've been like, I haven't even told you this, but I've been wanting to do an episode on trying new things because I think it's important that agents do that. So we'll put a pin in that and we'll come back to that. But to get back to actual like stories, like actual story content, what makes story content so powerful and all of those things? I think, first of all, it's just doing the work, like we just said, right? It's just showing up. And even when you think you don't have something to say, you say something. So as I feel like we're kind of talking, like you just said, like I did 30 days of this and I'm like, well, I'm doing watercolor. Like it can feel like, oh, I need a big thing. You don't even need a big thing. There was a book that I read, and the guy that was like the lead developer of WordPress, he said that his goal was to do one push-up before bed. And he talked about setting embarrassingly small goals because that's what actually forms a habit. So the one goal that we encourage our members to form, or the one habit we encourage them to form, is to post in your stories every day. And whether that's starting off by just saying like, good morning, this is what I'm doing today, and then just documenting those things. I mean, that is like the lowest hanging fruit and how you can just start showing up on stories, right? So like if we can commit to, I'm going to get on my phone and I'm going to talk to the camera every other day for the next 4 weeks. I think that you're going to see progress and you're going to feel a lot more confident with showing up the next time, every time that you do it.
You'll never know what that will lead to also. Like maybe that's where you start and then you're like, "You know what? I'm going to bring people behind the scenes for a day in the life with me now." And then that opens up your brain to think like, "Oh, people really responded when I shared like about the neighborhood I was in." Or
Yeah.
people really responded when I said this or that. Like action creates momentum and clarity because through doing that is where the conversations come that will like enlighten you about what your people want to see more of. You can't like wait around and think, I'm going to plan like the best reel ever. Or like I read that post from Brock Johnson. Like if your idea to execution is too far apart, you've kind of lost the plot. Like people are going to be bored with it or it's going to be too curated. Or like a lot of times when I'll do like what I think is like a really good carousel and I'll be like, it didn't really do that well. But I'm like, that's because it was too much information or it was
Yeah.
too perfectly worded. Whereas if I just opened my camera and recorded a reel with the same information, it probably would have been more helpful. People would have like listened to it. Like, wait, what is she going to say now? Or what is she going to share now? There's this creator, I think I've talked about her before, but her name's Haley Reed Tay, and she does the most simple face to cam content. And you would think like we always think we need to do something different or creative, or I need mine to stand out. Like I feel like I notice now everyone on the internet is using the color like a light yellow, butter yellow. I'm like, what is happening? Like, stop
Yeah.
using the yellow. Like, everyone's doing it now, so it doesn't stand out anymore. But like, there's no, magical answer to like standing out. But it's like the consistency of the way you choose to show up is what stands out. So this Haley girl, she will just like sit in front of a window in her living room, and then she'll explain like, here's the 5 books I read lately, and she'll like pop up the book on the screen. She's not even like physically showing the book or the shirt that she loves or whatever. And like that's her way of doing it, right? Which is a lot for her, probably low energy content
Right.
compared to like, I'm going to try on all these outfits and do all these transitions and whatever. So it's finding something that works for you and not trying to think like, oh, well, this agent does it this way, or this agent has these really crazy listing videos, so I should hire a videographer and a company and whatever. Maybe you just sit down with a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and you're like, hey, I want to tell you about my new listing today.
Yeah.
And you pop up a couple pictures throughout your reel that show like, look at this sunroom, look at this kitchen pantry. It is to die for. You're going to have so much room for all of your snacks, and you can even store your appliances in here. Like just the difference is so strong. Like someone, if you want someone to hire you through your content, first of all, it starts in stories. But second of all, like make your content feel like they can only get this through you. Like you're the only one. We talk a lot about how agents have access to the same market data, the same like crystal ball of things like market info, stats, listings, days on market, blah, blah, blah. They don't have the ability, like not every agent can share from their perspective on camera and tell people their take on it, right? So like if you start just doing that in your stories, by, a month from now, you could be pumping out reels that people love that are like
Right.
similar, that like live in your feed and can get shared and sent to people. And it's like the catapult. Stories are the catapult. But where I say, kind of circling back to like conversions happen through your stories, is because we really don't want, and this is my opinion, I didn't want cold leads as a realtor. So my whole thing was like, well, I'll show up on social media, I'll build trust with my sphere. My goal is to get more referrals, and that's exactly what I did. I didn't want cold leads that didn't know me, didn't trust me, didn't care who I was. I was just another number, another agent, another person with a key to get in the house, like whatever. I didn't want that. So when we think about using social media and we're like, but I don't have that many followers, or I don't have that many comments, or I don't have it, like blah, blah, blah. That's not the point. Like the point isn't to get cold people who are seeing your funny, amazing reel that are going to be like, oh my gosh, like comment house and come show me a house. Like maybe that will be some of that because they'll you through your content and like you. But if you're showing beautiful house tours and you're getting a cold lead, you're still playing the game of trying to convert a cold lead when you
Right.
could just be focused on nurturing who's already there, who can send you referrals and build your business out of referrals, which a referral is, I think, like, what do they say? It's like cheaper, easier, all the things. Like it's like a referral from someone you know is so much better than a cold person, because a cold person takes more of your time, takes more of your
Yes.
energy. It takes maybe more convincing or like laying the foundation for trust, all the things. So anyways, my purpose of social media and what I teach is really to get more referrals, not just to get cold random clients. So maybe that clears up some of that with stories and why we need to focus on who's already there, not just on new random people.
So let's talk about what to actually put on stories. We mentioned just like hopping on, doing like almost like FaceTime style talking where we are sharing something about our day or sharing a little takeaway or addressing like a client question. Like this is something that I've been asked about recently. I wanted to share my answer with you. What are other things that we could kind of keep at the back of our mind as this like running list of like, ooh, when I do this or when this happens, put it in stories? What are some other things you would put on that list?
I would take the category of local. So when you are going to local places that are like, it could be somewhere new, but mostly your go-to. Like if you get coffee at Roots every Wednesday or every Friday, like me, Mark, and Henry would always go to Roots every Friday, and I would document it like Friday coffee date. because that becomes repetitive, and the repetition becomes memorable, and people remember that for you, and they start to connect you with that place. So local is huge for that. It could also be like on the flip side, more of a fun way of doing that. Like I'm going to post or share or record on my stories anytime my husband and I try a new place for our date night. And I'm going to give a little review. Like, here's what I had. We loved this. This is the drink I got. This, like, make sure you sit here. Like, just give a little bit of context, right? It's so easy because you're doing it anyways. And you're just like, even if you leave and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't take any pictures in there. Take a quick picture of you and your husband, like, and still put on there where you went or the outside of the building or something. You don't need to document every entree and every, like, you're not a food influencer or a local influencer. You're just a real estate agent who's doing things locally and sharing behind the scenes. That would be one huge one for me, is local. Like, it's so easy. And a lot of people will say like, well, I never remember to document it. Like I said,
Yeah.
and if you don't do it in real time, get on your stories when you get home and be like, I didn't take any pictures, but here's where we went. Here's what I had. Like, we need to stop giving ourselves roadblocks on purpose. We like purposely give ourselves roadblocks for absolutely no reason. Like, oh, because I didn't take that picture or like document every piece of food, I can't talk about that local spot. No, we don't need that. You're just conversationally talking to the camera. Honestly, you can probably share a little bit more authentically if you did it after the fact and just popped in with your face, right? Or even the next morning. So stop making up fake roadblocks of why you can't share about certain things. Same with real estate content. I was too busy. I didn't get any photos of you don't need to document every single showing that you have. That would be insane. And a lot of houses we show, it's not selling sunset. They're pretty just regular. They're nothing like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. Like, it doesn't need to be like this performance. Again, going back to that word. And I think if we can really surpass that, like cross that bridge of like, okay, it's not a performance, it's just sharing, that makes it a lot easier. Like, what else would you say for things like must document things?
I think especially if you are really trying to get leads from Instagram or really trying to position yourself as like the go-to agent, anytime that you could offer like home equity analysis or like a home buyer search, do it in your stories. And so like, if it was like a home equity thing, you could either, like, if you're doing a report for somebody, just hopping on and saying, this is what I'm working on today, or I can't wait to deliver the news that like this house is actually worth 20 grand more than what she thought or whatever. You could do that, or you could simply just say, hey, I have time this week to do 5 home equity analysis. Like, if you are curious what your home is worth, drop your email here or your address here or whatever. Same with like a home buyer search. One thing that I did when I first got my real estate license, just because I was trying to really learn how to use the MLS well, is I created like faux searches of like, okay, if I'm someone who wants a pool in Columbia City, like this is what I'm going to search for. Or if I like back in my hometown, like, okay, like if I, could live here, but I also just want to live in this school district or wherever, like what would that look like? So then I had these like all saved, and then I would just tell people, if you're curious about homes in this area, I'll add you to the list. Like, you'll just get an email from me. And that, I mean, I'm not kidding. Within the first like 6 months of doing real estate, I probably had 25 people on home searches. And some of those led to sales in that first year or two of real estate. So that's a really great way to do it. I love that too, because you don't have to have a client. You don't have to be showing houses. You don't have to be like faking being busy with real estate. It's just you offering your services to people. And who isn't curious about what their home is worth,
Another angle I love of this is if you say everyone wants to know what their neighbor's house sells for, even if like our realtor will send us an email when a listing goes up in our neighborhood, which I think is really fun. It's like you're getting the inside scoop on your neighborhood, like before it even hits the market or whatever. Well, you could even offer something like that through your stories. Like, hey, do you want to know the second something happens in your neighborhood, I can set you up on a list, where you're almost like reverse setting up a home search for people who just want to keep an eye on what's happening in their exact spot where they live. So it's just a way to stay in front of them, a way to connect. They get that email from you when it happens, right? And then you can check in, like, why do they want to know? Are they keeping an eye on their own home price, right? Like, so not that we're bombarding them with like sales statistics and like, here's why you should sell right now. You're just sharing the value, and they're seeing your name and they're hearing from you, and now they're on your email list, and now you can nurture them additionally to that with things that are going to keep you top of mind without just being the market data, right?
Yeah, for sure. Another thing you could do in your stories is talk about your lead magnet. if you have a lead magnet or just an email list, if you are preparing to send out an email, if you know on Friday my email goes out, on Wednesday, start talking about it. Start kind of teasing what it's going to be about. Offer people like, hey, if you want to get in on this, like you can sign up here, or, you know, give me your email address. I'll add you. If you have like a local lead magnet or something that's like, even if it's like a buyer lead magnet or whatever, just like pull one little tiny part out of it and like talk about it and then offer it. It builds trust, and it, you know, no one's going to just go poking around unless they're like ready to buy right now. They're not going to start just poking around your page hoping to find some free resources, but they need to see that again and again. So I know some people, like, of course, like in the membership, so we offer all of these things to everybody, right? We give story prompts that cover all of these things every single month. So it's a little twist on it, but we still will have some people say like, but what about a post for my local guide? And it's like, you shouldn't have one post for that. That should be dripped throughout your content all the time. We always say, like, kind of throw it around like confetti. Like, make it so that anywhere they turn, they can't help but see something about that lead magnet, and just want to make it feel like, if I don't get that, then I have got severe FOMO. I'm going to be missing out on something, and I want to get on that list. That's how you talk about it. And stories are such a great way to do that.
I mentioned earlier how I use stories to talk about camp a lot, and that was like the main conversion of getting people to join it. And I just kept talking about it over and over. There wasn't like one post that was like, Camp Modern Agent, join us
Right.
on this day. Here's how to do it. It was like, hey, here's the 2026 marketing ins and outs. And if you want to learn how to put these into action, camp
Right.
is on this day. And it was an end slide. We did that a couple different times. And then in my stories, constantly for like the course of a couple of weeks. And like I said, we had 592 signups. So if you, and this is a little bit different than real estate, right? But if you have something like a local guide, there's no reason why a abundance of people wouldn't be interested in that, right? Or
Right.
something that's specific to where you live. But your stories are it's the easiest way, even if you want to make it really simple. Like we get into like, oh, well, how do I set up an automation and all these things? Like just start really simple and put a question, even for someone consuming it, put a question sticker box in your story. Drop your email if you want this. And like mix it with, as you're talking to the camera, maybe you print out one and you can kind of show people like, here's what's in here, or here's why I made it, here's who it's for. Like speak to the person of like, I just want to know all the go-to spots for people with kids or whatever your like
Right.
angle is, right? Like and say that, like say it out loud, make people know like this is what it's for. So there is no one big grand announcement for anything really. Even
Yeah.
your listing. We just launched a new feature of our membership called Launch Your Listing. And the purpose is to show people how to talk about your listing before it lists, how to talk about it during the listing, and then how to talk about it after the listing. There's not just a post that says just listed, 3-bedroom, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, what
It's
a waste. What a
right.
waste to only do one post about it, right?
Yeah, like leverage that listing, leverage the crap out
Yeah.
of your listing, and it will get you more clients. Like we're talking about how to do this in a way that results in more business. Don't just let your listing die a lonely death in a post on Instagram one time or on Facebook. Like you're going to create curiosity. Like that's the purpose of our launch your listing. You create curiosity around it, then you talk about it in a way that feels like fun to consume, whether or not that is the right fit for the person looking at it or not. Like the MLS and a home search is where people who are going to decide if it's the right fit for them or not are going to find the house in your listing, not Instagram, not Facebook, not anywhere else. It's MLS. But Instagram is a fun way to just show how you help someone sell a house, what you do to market it, right? I recently saw in a random Facebook group I'm in, someone said like, my listing's been in the market for like 16 days and the seller's down my neck asking if I'm going to do anything to market it besides put it on MLS. And I've already hosted 3 open houses. And I'm like, oh, there's so many more things you could be doing that would make that seller be like, holy cow, she is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can drip it all over, just like we're talking about the lead magnet. Drip it through everything. Put it in your stories. Go walk the neighborhood on your stories and share it. Especially if you don't have a lot of business, like you can 10x what you're doing with this stuff, right?
100%.
And it will result in more business, and it will result in happy clients who turn into what?
Referrals. Yes, exactly. Yeah, all of this really like kind of lets you effortlessly talk about real estate in a way that's not this like educational post. It doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't require a clever hook. It doesn't require a caption or like new graphics or getting your brand colors right. Like this is just showing up and being a real person who's like interested in serving people. And you know, I do think that's so important. Like when you show up, don't show up to show off, right? Like if you're trying to like impress people, it's not going to land as well as if you were just trying to like connect with them and like almost like impress upon them, make them like feel the impact of your words and make them like become a part of like your story or like going along with your day. Like that when you're like more of a come with me girl instead of a look at me girl, those are the stories that people are going to like stay for and going to want to like check in with again and again, right? I think all of this becomes so much easier once you're clear on your brand menu because real estate content in and of itself doesn't really seem to be the hard part for agents. Agents don't have a hard time talking about real estate in their stories. What they have a hard time doing is like adding in other layers to make their stories more fun to consume so that more people are watching it than just like their 5 best friends, right? So taking the time to get clear on your brand, take note of the things that you share that people don't care about or seem to not care about versus the ones that they can't stop talking to you about. And then that's how you become memorable. Like, even through this whole conversation, I guarantee you the next time that you drive by a soccer field and see a bunch of little toddlers out there kicking a ball around, you're going to think of Chelsea and Henry. Like, you're going to think of like, oh yeah, that's like what like Chelsea would be out there right now. The next time you see watercolor content on your Instagram, you're probably going to think of me. And like, that's how you start living rent free in people's heads. It's not because I went out of my way to create this new identity so that I had this new piece of content. And now I'm going to have like what watercolor has to do with your marketing content. It's just talking about it and doing it and sharing it. And sure, there might be some inspiration or I'm going to use it as like an analogy here and there. But for the most part, it's just me being human and me being a real person who like maybe you're interested in doing that too. Or maybe you're like, I would never do watercolor, but that makes me want to, learn how to sew or whatever else. It just sparks those conversations. And that's where conversions happen.
The end.
The end.
Just kidding.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Even did you hear? So I talked about dill pickle chicken salad twice. Once in my stories and once on this podcast. And someone tagged me yesterday. Thank you for the dill pickle chicken salad recipe idea. I'm making that for lunch this week.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, is meal prep part of my brand menu? But here's the thing. It's not. Now, if I decided to get really into cooking and continuously share that behind the scenes in my stories, maybe, and on the podcast, maybe that would become part of it, right? But not everything you talk about has to be your brand. And not everything that's your brand has to be talked about every single time you show up.
No.
It's just like, it's these little drips, it's like a leaky faucet. You're constantly dripping, and eventually the bucket fills up and you have to empty it out. The bucket fills up, but that bucket fills up with conversations. And that's when the clients and the referrals happen.
Yeah.
Because if you can be having conversations, they're going to think of over these mundane things or hobbies or whatever it is for you, or just your face to camera chat of the day. Like I've called it before, a cozy kitchen chat or a car chat or a get ready with me chat while you're doing your makeup, talk to the camera. You can theme it and make it fun if that makes it seem more fun for you. But I knew that I don't want to do this in the same spot every day. I just need to commit to the 30-day thing. But the point is, whatever you pick, it's going to help you show up in a way that just feels very approachable. And it goes back to my whole glass of wine with a friend approach. I didn't make everything about my branding wine related, if you've heard me use that term before, but I kind of just described working with me like having a glass of wine with a friend. I'm going to give you my best real estate advice. It's going to feel like sitting down with a glass of wine. Maybe we actually will, if that's your thing, right? And it became ingrained in people's brains. So then when I would bring wine into a photo or a picture or, dropping off wine for my clients, it felt so aligned. And that's branding, right? So it's not oh, now that Kayla does watercolor, she's going to put that in every post or every day of her stories. Maybe eventually she will, but right now
I totally will.
Right now it's just the permission to have fun with it. Put stuff in your stories to bring people in, create those conversations, but don't take it so seriously that you need to if you leave here saying, I'm going to map out my stories for the next 4 weeks and I'm going to record all these stories. No, it's
not going to work.
Please don't do it. It just won't work. It won't feel natural. You'll feel resistance because it's forced. And it should feel like even imagining right now as I look at my story camera, I'm going to pretend like I'm telling my friend this. Don't imagine that you're telling Instagram this.
Right.
You're just telling your friend, and your voice will kind of relax and your words will come across more normal and all of the things. So just have fun with it. That is the most important thing, because if you're not having fun, you're going to be stiff. It's going to be weird. And it might be for the first few times, but just get in a habit of these things and just watch the conversations explode.
Yep. I think that you nailed it with saying, quit taking yourself so seriously. I know we want to be professional. We want to be taken seriously as an agent, but deep down, everybody knows there's another side to you. And that's what they're wanting to know. Like, that's the person that they're wanting to connect with. So chill out just a little bit. Don't take yourself so seriously. And, even like the time commitment for stories, it's so low. And so even if you don't have an hour to go take new photos, if you don't have 30 minutes to create a post, if you don't have 5 minutes to post something from Modern Agent, you have 1 minute where you can hop on like stories. Like, you can't ever say you don't have 1 minute. So try it, and we can't wait to see your stories, and we can't wait to just hear about the conversations. And I'll just end it with this. What will come from this might not be more follows, more likes, more shares, more saves. I do think that you will get a lot more DMs. And I also think you're going to get a lot more people in real life talking to you about something that you shared in your stories. That is a win. Like, that is a stronger win than any like, comment, share, save, anything could ever mean, because those are people who would actually like know you, talk to you, refer you, feel comfortable with you. Like, those are your people. So keep posting and keep looking for those conversation markers and like track that, because I really think that you're going to see like it's actually working more than what you think.
What if that's really doing, to finish this up, it's building trust. Because as they keep seeing you and you're reliable and you're there and you're being yourself and they can get to know you, like, you gradually start to earn their trust.
Yeah.
And they're not going to refer you if they don't trust you. They're not going to hire you if they don't trust you. So again, think beyond like just the feed, just the reel, just the listings, and think, how can I actually connect with these people through stories? So
Exactly. So
now
good.
that's the real the end. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Marketing Girls. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.